Welcome to our tutorial about setting up your project. In this tutorial, we'll learn about the important parameters managed from the Project Setup window. You need to set up your project before you start recording. You may not need to adjust many options here. It's a good idea to get these settings right from the get-go. For example, let's say you need to record in a 24-bit format, but forgot to set it up that way. Now you've done your recording in 16-bit and there's no way to go back and fix it. To access the Project Setup window, select Projects and then Project Setup. You can also use the keyboard shortcut Shift-S. The Project Setup window has 4 groups of settings. The start and length time of the project are up top. Here's the frame rate. That's applicable to engineers who are working with video. In this section, you can select the display format and the display offset value in time or bars, and down below we have digital audio properties. Okay, let's leave the start field at its default setting unless you need the project to start at a different time location. If that's the case, enter the appropriate value in hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. Set the length to the appropriate length of your project. Setting up the length influences the proportion of time displayed in the main project window and speeds up any freezing or rendering processes. For example, if you don't expect your song to be longer than 5 minutes, enter that here. Just click or double-click on the length field and type in your changes. Press Enter and Cubase will accept those changes. If you're working with a video file or synchronizing to an external timecode provided by a videotape, set the frame rate field to the video's frame rate. Cubase offers you some preset selections. Let's open up the pop-up menu here. In the Display Format field, you can select how you want time to display in the primary time display. Let me show you where that is. That's right here. The primary display is also shown in the Transport panel. My current selection, bars and beats, shows my music divided up into its bars and beats. Seconds will give you a standard minutes and seconds display. You can easily change this later while working in your project without having to come back to this window. Display offset value. This can be left at its default of 0 in most cases. You need to set this up if you're synchronizing a project to an external video that starts at a frame other than 0. For example, if the tape you're syncing with starts at 3 minutes 59 seconds, but you still want your project's timeline to start at 0, you'd enter 3 minutes 59 seconds as your offset. You can also enter a value in bars and beats if that's how you prefer to view your work. If that's the case, enter the appropriate number of bars to offset your start position at in this field. In the last control area, we set the sample rate, record format, file type, and pan law. Let's talk about the sample rate first. Standard CD quality sample rate is 44.1 kHz per second. 44.1 kHz per second is the default value for recording in Cubase. There are some occasions where you may need more than this. In any case, once you set the sample rate, you can't change this later because all sounds will be recorded at the sample rate. So be sure to make your settings here before you do any recordings. If you'd like some more information about this, check out our course on recording, mixing, and mastering. The record format field is set by default to 16 bits. Cubase supports 16, 24, and 32 floating point bit. You can select any resolution supported by your audio hardware. CD quality is 16-bit, but you may want to record at 24-bit to give you more headroom while you're mixing and mastering. The larger the bit depth, the larger your file, so do keep that in mind. While you're able to import files with a different bit depth, all files recorded in the project will have the bit depth you select here. Let's talk about the record file type. This gives you a few choices. Regular WAV files are what you hear on CDs. A broadcast wave is just like a regular wave, except that it embeds text strings in the audio file, such as your name and audio time stamping. By using this file type, you don't have to enter this information later because it'll be done automatically. AIFF stands for Audio Interchange File Format. It's a Mac format. WAV files are proprietary Sony files that support files larger than 2 gigabytes. They're better suited, for example, to live concert recordings in surround format, whose file sizes can get pretty large. Now be warned that many CD players only play regular WAV files, so you may want to stick with just the regular WAV file. This stereo pan law pop-up menu allows you to select one of 4 pan modes. Panning is all related to the fact that without compensation, the power of the sum of the left and right side will be higher or louder if a channel is pan center than if it's pan to the left or right. That's what happens when you select 0 decibels from this menu. If you've got 2 similar signals panned to the center, like 2 vocals, they're going to sound doubly loud. To fix this, the pan law can lower signals panned to the center by -6 or by -3 dB. If you choose the 0 dB option, you'll turn off the constant power panning. If you select equal power, the power of the signal will remain the same regardless of the pan setting. Experiment to see which best fits in a given situation. When you're done, click OK. The Project Setup dialog window closes. This concludes our tutorial on Project Setup.